Good morning, friends. Today we are going to discuss new criticism, its origin and its causes and effects, and what are who are the precursors and pioneer of this new trend in literary theory and criticism. So, without wasting our time, let's get straight to the topic, and that is new criticism. This is the topic, new criticism. We have to study it here, new criticism. So guys, what is new criticism? Because we have criticism already, and what is the necessity of coining a new term which is new criticism? So guys, new criticism, let me dictate it from here and then I'll explain it for you people. New criticism, a literary movement that started in late 1920s and 30s and originated in reaction to the traditional criticism that new critics are as largely concerned with matters extraneous to the text. For example, with the biography or the psychology of the author or the work's relationship to the literary history. So, new criticism proposed that a work of literary art should be regarded as autonomous and so should not be judged by reference to the consideration beyond itself. A poem consists less of a series of referential and verifiable statements about the real world beyond it than of the presentation and sophisticated organization of a set of complex experiences in a verbal form. So the major figures of the new criticism are I.A. Richards, T.S. Eliot, Clint Brooks, David Datches, William Empson, Murray Krieger, John Crow Ransom, Alan Tate, F.R. Lewis, Robert Penn Warren, W.K. Wimsatt, R.P. Blackmer, Rand Wallach, Austin Warren, and Ivor Winters. So guys, what actually new criticism is? It is a reaction. It is a reactory movement that came into being in reaction of what actually romanticism was doing. So guys, we have to go to the background of this moment. Earlier on, the standard of the criticism were that if you want to evaluate a text, if you want to interpret a text, you have to be you should be considering the facts like biography, like the biography is life history. So if you want to evaluate a text, if you want to synthesize a text, if you want to examine a text, firstly you have to go through the biography of the author. Why you have to go to the biography of the author? Because the texts were considered subjective, and the mere purpose of the approach was that whatever a writer produces or writes basically is the product of the life events and the influences that shaped and motivated the writer. A text is the product of those events. So the other event was the sociological background. First was, I'm talking about the standard of the pre-new criticism standard of the evaluation of a text. The next standard was sociological factors. SOCIOLO, sociological factors. So, before new criticism, if you want to evaluate or examine a text, you have to be adherent to the sociological factors and the socio-economic condition of the writer. Say, for example, you are evaluating a text. if you don't know the biography of the writer, or if you don't know the socio-economic conditions of the writer, or of the then time when that literary piece was being created, you cannot evaluate a text. It means that, say for example, if you are studying, or if you want to evaluate a poem of Victorian era, then you have to be you should be acquainted to the fact that Victorian era, there was it was a very chaotic time because of the origin of the species, because the faith of the people and the belief of the people in the God was shattering. And the second thing is that there is a Victorian compromise, and there is industrial revolution, and fast movement of the people from the rural to the urban areas, which was by and large disturbing the life of the people, disturbing the circle of the people and the routine kind of life. So, and the socio-economic condition, that biographical condition of the writer, for example, a writer faces some traumatic situation. His father, he loses his father, he is a failed lover, and he is a jilted lover, or something like that. Those things always influence, always exerted an enduring influence in the work of an author. So the approach was subjective because it was merely concerned with the poet. And the third requisite, or the third standard was, guys, third standard was that you should be considering the political, you should be considering political regime and its impacts. So these were the major three components of pre-new criticism standard of evaluating a text. It means that you should be aware of the psychology of the writer, his biography, and the various influences on him, and the various incidents and various occurrences and coincidence in the life of the author that shaped him. So this was the first standard before the new criticism. But guys, new criticism came as a reaction, and T.S. Eliot and I.A. Richards are the precursor of this new movement or the new trend in English in literary theory. They said that text is in itself a complete whole which possesses a meaning in itself. Rather, they decried any outside influence or any extraneous influence. All I mean to convey is that whatever a text is, if you read a text, you need not to go through the biography, through the psychology, through the socio-economic condition, the political conditions, and the personal life of the author. All you need to know is you need a text, you read it, and text is a free entity, and the entire responsibility of its interpretation or evaluation or examination is the responsibility of the reader. So close reading was a term. Guys, remember, this is the most important term in new criticism. Close reading. Close reading. Close reading. Close mean a very minute, a very scanning, and a very sharp and a very clever reading of the text without giving any adherence, even a minuscule adherence to the extraneous factors or the other details you are supposed to to remain stick to the text only, that is close reading. So T.S. Eliot basically is remembered as the pioneer or precursor of new criticism, because, and then I.A. Richards and Clarence Brooks and all. So guys, the key terms of new criticism are intentional fallacy. Intentional fallacy basically, intentional fallacy, it is equating the meaning of a poem with the author's intention. It means that when you try to equate, or when you try to compare the meaning of the poem with the author's intention. So guys, what does intentional fallacy mean? That the fallacy mean a false approach, fallacy mean a mistake, fallacy mean a blunder. It means that intentional fallacy, in technical terms or in literary terms, it is a fallacy or it is a mistake that a reader makes when he associates or when he joins or when he depends for the meaning of the poem on the intention of the author. What is the intention of the author behind writing this poem? So guys, if we give adherence to this, it means that we are giving intention mean what intention simply means that what is basically the idea of the author and what motivated him or what inspired him to write a particular piece of writing. So if we give adherence to his biography, because intention is always subjective, and if we consider the subject, it means that we are considering the subjectivity of the poem, and it means that we can only scan or we can only view that poem in that lens. We cannot liberate the text from the intention of the author. So intentional fallacy is that we have to separate the text from the intention of the author. We have to interpret it what the text speaks, not what the background or the context speaks. So an important term is the focus was shifted from context to the text in new criticism. In criticism we have text, but in new criticism we give precedence and priority to the text, not to the context. So intentional fallacy, guys, very simple, that we have to neglect what is the intention of the author behind writing this poem. We should stick only to the fact that what actually text speaks. Now the second term associated with is affective fallacy. Affective fallacy is, it is basically that what is the effect of the poem on the reader. So confusing the meaning of the text with how it makes the reader feel. A reader's emotional response to a text generally doesn't produce a reliable interpretation. So guys, in other fallacy that was mentioned here is affective fallacy, that we should not evaluate or we should not consider a text from the effect that it exercises on its reader. So we need not to bother about the effect of the text, we have to go through the text only. Heresy of paraphrase. Heresy of paraphrase means simply that assuming that an interpretation of literary work could consist of a detailed summary or paraphrase. So finality of the meaning cannot be decided. This is what deconstruction is all about. That will discuss in the coming lectures. So heresy or paraphrase is whatever the meaning one reader analyze or one reader gets from the reading, that is not the final meaning. So we should always try to avoid the heresy of the paraphrase. And close reading, as I told you, that close reading is the detailed and the meticulous examination of the text and the various components, its metaphors, its similes, and then diction, and then its style. These all include into the category of close reading. So guys, who coined the term new criticism? These are the questions that you are generally asked in the question papers. Who coined this term? It is Joel O. Spingarn. It is Joel O. Spingarn, Spingarn, Joel O. Spingarn. Joel O. Spingarn is the person who coined the term new criticism. So when did he coin this term? In 1941. The term was coined in 1941. Okay guys, and when and where this term was coined? The term was coined, guys, the term was coined in the text with the same name, or in the book with the same name, the new criticism. Okay guys, the new criticism, the term was coined here. So now I'm going to dictate here important text that you are supposed to study if you want to understand this literary trend. The Well-Wrought Urn, the book was published in 1954. The book was published in 1954, and the author is Cleanth Brooks. And then another text is Understanding Poetry, and then we have William Empson, 7 Types of Ambiguity. The book was published in 1955. And then we have After the New Criticism. This is not the important text. Terry's book, Literary Theory and Introduction. See, this is not important. John Crow Ransom, The New Criticism. This is important text. And I.A. Richards, Practical Criticism. This is also an important text. And then we have this Verbal Icon by W.K. Wimsatt and Monroe Beardsley. You can study these texts. So guys, this is all about new criticism. Now I'm going to dictate it in Hindi or Urdu. सो गाइज, न्यू क्रिटिज़म को हम यूँ कह सकते हैं कि इससे पहले हम किसी भी ऑथर या किसी भी पोइट की बायोग्राफी को भी हमें देखना होता था, उसकी जो इकोनॉमिक कंडीशन थी वो अमीर है या गरीब है, उसकी ज़िंदगी में जो दुख सुख या कोई अच्छाई बुराई होती थी उसको भी देखना पड़ता था। फिर हम उस वर्क को एनालाइज करते थे कि भाई ये क्या कह रहा है इसमें, फिर हम उसका कॉन्टेक्स्ट पूरा लेते थे कि भाई अच्छा इसकी लाइफ में ये वाला इंसिडेंट हुआ था तो उसको ये यहाँ पे जो है वो एक्सप्लेन कर रहा है। तो वो सारी चीज़ें यहाँ पे आके ख़त्म कर दी न्यू क्रिटिज़म ने कहा कि हमें ना तो ऑथर की हमें बायोग्राफिकल डिटेल्स में जाना है, ना ही हमें कुछ और देखना है। हमें अगर देखना है तो सिर्फ़ और सिर्फ हमें टेक्स्ट देखना है कि भाई टेक्स्ट क्या कह रहा है। बस जब हमारे पास टेक्स्ट है वो टेक्स्ट आप पढ़ो, और फिर उसके बाद वो फाइनल नहीं हम उसको मानेंगे जो इंटरप्रिटेशन एक रीडर करेगा। मान लिया मैंने एक टेक्स्ट को पढ़ा, मैंने अपना उसकी इंटरप्रिटेशन निकाली, किसी दूसरे ने पढ़ा उसने अपनी इंटरप्रिटेशन निकाली। अब गाइज, इंटेंशनल फैलेसी क्या है? जब हम ये चीज़ सोचते हैं कि भाई राइटर ने जो है वो क्या चीज़ सोच कर ये पोइम लिखी होगी, या किन कंडीशंस या किन हालात में रहते हुए जो है वो ये चीज़ लिखी होगी, तो हमें राइटर की इंटेंशन से कुछ नहीं लेना देना है, हमें राइटर के वर्क से सारा काम है। उसके बाद अफेक्टिव फैलेसी है गाइज, इसका ये मतलब हुआ कि हमें ये चीज़ नहीं देखनी है कि एक पोइम पढ़ने के बाद हमारे इमोशंस हम पे उसका क्या इम्पैक्ट हुआ, उसका क्या अफेक्ट हुआ, हमें खाली टेक्स्ट को पढ़ना है, बस बात ख़त्म। और फिर उसके बाद पैराफ्रेज, जब हम पैराफ्रेजिंग करते हैं तो पैराफ्रेज का जो मीनिंग होता है उसको हम फाइनलाइज्ड मीनिंग नहीं समझ सकते, क्योंकि उसकी और भी इंटरप्रिटेशन होंगी। और फिर उसके बाद हमारे पास एक इम्पॉर्टेंट टर्म आती है क्लोज रीडिंग या टेक्स्ट इज़ ऑटोटेलिक। ये भी हम कह सकते हैं कि यहाँ पे टेक्स्ट खुद अपने आप को बताता है, हमें सिर्फ टेक्स्ट की क्लोज रीडिंग करनी है, हमें उसकी लैंग्वेज देखनी है, हमें उसमें सिंबल्स देखने हैं, हमें उसमें सिमली देखनी है, मेटाफर देखना है, पैराडॉक्स देखना है, आयरनी देखनी है। ये सारी चीज़ें देख के तो हम उसको एक्सप्लेन कर सकते हैं। थैंक यू सो मच गाइस, आपको टाइम देने के लिए। आई होप यू विल एंजॉय दिस lecture, and kindly subscribe my channel and let me know about your experience here with my channel. Thank you so much. Have a nice time ahead.